Breaking points. The final thing here is MSNBC had to come up with the best defense of Miss Willis that they could. Here's what they had to say.
The testimony on the whole was calmer than I expected it to be when she first walked in.
You were worried.
But also incredibly detailed. And I thought her portrayal of why it is that she pays for things in cash and has lots of cash on hand was very compelling. Basically, it was a life lesson she learned from her father and then sort of joked about the way that she was raised by that old black man, as she referred to him.
Yeah, and Catherine Christian.
And the defense oversold this. There was no evidence other than the woman who is a former friend and a former employee. That's their evidence. And anyone who has an elderly black parent or elderly black people in life, no, it's about keeping cash.
Here's a sneak peek from the latest Breaking Point snippet. Hang tight, because we'll be showing the full clip at the video's conclusion. But before that, we'd love to share our perspective. Don't forget to leave a like, hit subscribe for more content like this, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be following up with you. The recent development in the courtroom, where the Trump prosecutor was said to be humiliated on the stand, is a clear example of the lack of concrete evidence and the extent to which political bias can infect our legal process. It's telling that the narrative has shifted from solid accusations to questionable character witnesses and anecdotal explanations. In this case, the prosecutor's reliance on a former friend and employee as their star witness underscores the flimsiness of their case. True to Trump's style, the defense didn't just punch holes in the accusations, they provided a life lesson wrapped in credibility. The defense's explanations surrounding cash transactions, relating it to a practice learned from one's father and the cultural habits of not just black families, but of any who have lived through financially unstable times, resonated deeply with many. My own family, like countless others, keeps cash on hand for emergencies. This isn't an alien concept, and it certainly isn't inherently nefarious. Critics question the specifics of the cash transactions, yet seem to forget that the president has been scrutinized like no other, with every financial move analyzed. If there was wrongdoing, wouldn't concrete evidence be plentiful by now? It seems that the old adage, where there's smoke, there's fire, is not being applied. Rather, it's a case of trying to start a fire where there is no smoke. The prosecutor's references to other high-profile individuals using cash for transactions do little to prove wrongdoing by Trump. Drawing parallels with other cases without providing substantial proof is not only irresponsible, but detracts from the legitimacy of the legal process. It's a dangerous pathway towards a legal system that is driven by narrative rather than evidence. While critics may argue the large cash expenditures point to an attempt to circumvent the banking system, it's equally plausible that Trump is simply adhering to old-school financial practices. Large transactions in cash don't automatically equate to illicit activity. In conclusion, if the prosecution's case were as strong as they insinuate, the courtroom drama would be unnecessary. Instead, they've resorted to sensationalism and character attacks, both signs of a floundering case. Trump's defense, by contrast, has provided credible, everyday reasons for his financial practices, reasons that resonate with the common American. It's high time the legal process returns to a search for truth rather than playing to the court of public opinion.
Breaking points. The final thing here is MSNBC had to come up with the best defense of Miss Willis that they could. Here's what they had to say.
The testimony on the whole was calmer than I expected it to be when she first walked in.
You were worried.
But also incredibly detailed. And I thought her portrayal of why it is that she pays for things in cash and has lots of cash on hand was very compelling. Basically, it was a life lesson she learned from her father and then sort of joked about the way that she was raised by that old black man, as she referred to him.
Yeah, and Catherine Christian.
And the defense oversold this. There was no evidence other than the woman who is a former friend and a former employee. That's their evidence. And anyone who has an elderly black parent or elderly black people in life, no, it's about keeping cash because you never know when you're going to need it. So she's been very credible.
It's very credible because there is an antiquated racial explanation that is based in stereotype.
It's white people too. My grandmother who lived through the Depression keeps cash. And so I'm actually not doubting whether she keeps a lot of cash with her. What I am kind of doubting is whether she unrolled a whole bunch of it and handed it to her.
So you reimburse him for every trip, every single trip, because if you didn't, you violated the law. And it's like, well, you can't prove it. And it's like the Epstein thing. It's the same, and I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying, whenever I would read through the financial services reports around Epstein from New York and all those others, he would take out, $9,999 for tips. And every single time he would write it out, like, this is for tips. And it's like, really? It's for tips? It's like, that's obviously supposed to trigger alerts inside of the system. Hunter, too, if anybody wants to know. If you go and you read his, extravaganza, bacchanal expenses, he was spending $600,000-$700,000 often in cash. In general, when people do shady things, they are spending large amounts of cash specifically to try and stay out of the legitimate banking system. And specifically because she was able and often did use the legitimate banking system for other expenses, it makes her explanation even more doubtable as to how this was not untoward and to why we shouldn't really believe a lot of what she's saying.
So what's going to happen there?
I mean, there previously a judge had said that this possibly could be grounds for dismissal. I mean, it's one of those where at the very least, I mean, I think you could put a decent amount of reasonable doubt in a jury's head for political prosecution.
Do you find a new prosecutor? What do you do?
Maybe. Look, I'm not the guy to ask. I don't know about Georgia double jeopardy or any of that. But from what I know, the people in the Trump people in Georgia, I've said that before. He's touched by God. I don't even believe in God. But
neither does he.
Yeah, neither does he. But he's touched by him. He has been, he's had his hands laid. There's an angel who's looking out.
It was from that White House when they all laid their hands on him.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
That was it.
Maybe it worked.
It worked.
Maybe I should have listened to the evangelicals when I was growing up. Maybe they were right.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization